I'll be talking about fountain pens and why anyone in this world would be spending $1,000 or 800 euros on a single fountain pen. So probably you're thinking they're all idiots, but there's more to this story and I'm trying to explain this today in this video. So obviously there's many fountain pens out there, and obviously many different qualities of fountain pens, and the ones we're talking today about are the ones which have a gold nib, which is something which not many fountain pens have. The reason being, it's very expensive to make one of these nibs, and it is very special because this will ensure that your fountain pen will be unique over time. What do I mean by that? Well, every fountain pen has a nib obviously, and this nib in more expensive models is actually made out of gold, and the very tip of this nib is actually made out of rubidium, which is a very hard metal. This rubidium nib is obviously very hard, so when you write, the gold will deform over time, and this will ensure that your handwriting will become very unique and special, very different from other fountain pens. This is why many people actually like using more expensive models, because it's very unique to them. It's basically like their signature, and even the signature will become more unique when you use your own fountain pen. And this is basically the reason why many people have very expensive fountain pens. So I want to talk about how I actually got these expensive fountain pens. So one of them, this is the Pelikan 400. This is not an M400, which is very similar. It is actually the very old version, which was made in the 50s. It is inherited by my great-grandfather to my mom, and my mom gave it to me because I like things like this, and so she gave it to me. So I'm very thankful and glad about this pen, and it writes absolutely amazing. Obviously my great-grandfather was writing a lot with it, and my mom always said it was one of his proudest possessions, so it's actually something very special. On the other hand, I have a Montblanc 146, and I really love the design and what it stands for, and I love the whole Montblanc history, so this is why I have this pen. But not only that, I actually used to work in a Montblanc boutique, and there I was selling especially like watches and all the leather goods, but also the fountain pens, and obviously you had to know why you're selling these pens. And most of the gentlemen, most of the cases were gentlemen who were buying these pens, actually were flying to Japan or other Asian countries, and there it's very important then when you give a signature that you're actually using a special pen. So you can't just use one of these big pens and, like, you know, the ones which you like throw away or which they hand out for free when you're making a bank account. This is not possible. This would be very insulting in their culture, so you actually have to use a more expensive pen, and most of the time they were buying fountain pens because obviously if you want to give a signature, you want to use a fountain pen usually. And it so happened I was working there and I sold 2 watches in like 10 minutes once. I didn't know at that time, but there apparently was a goal that said when you sell 1 watch, you would actually get a voucher of 100 euros to actually spend in the Montblanc boutique. So you wouldn't get any like price off, so you couldn't buy anything in the sale or anything, but you could just spend this money to buy any Montblanc products. You could also not give additional money in order to buy something like bigger. But what you could do is you could split it in like different items. So this is exactly what I did. So I got myself a passport holder, because I didn't have a passport holder back then, and this one is very nice, made out of leather, obviously Montblanc quality, very nice. But what I also got is, and I got myself some ink. And this is by the Petit Prince line, and it is actually a brown ink from Montblanc. So if you buy this ink, I think it's probably around 40 euros, so it is very expensive. And at that time I was like, okay, fuck it, I have very expensive ink now, so I also need a fountain pen which actually can use it. So I was looking at the different fountain pens they have, and I decided to go with this one. So this one is beautiful. This is why I actually got it, and it is just the right size for my hands. So I don't have too big hands. I have pretty like average hands, and so the 146 for that is actually perfect, I think. It is a piston filler, which means in order to fill it, you have to put it into the ink and actually twist it at the back and fill it up with that. Once you've done that, you can actually start writing. So the nice thing about this pen is it is not too big. So if you have a 149 Montblanc, it is way too big for me. And it is just a pen which you have on your table and give signatures with it, and that's it. This is not what I wanted. I wanted something which I can actually take with me and write with it as well, like on the go. So this is not perfect for that. There are smaller options from Montblanc as well, but I'm just happy I got this version. It is perfect for my hand, and this is something which is really important. You have to get something which is perfect for your hand. So I'm a sucker for traditions and very like minimalistic and classic design, but when I actually saw this pen, I thought like, wow, this actually looks exactly like a normal Meisterstück, but with the difference that the cap is in a champagne gold and it has this sort of reflection on it, and it looks very, very nice. It is very different from this very classic design in regards of the cap, but everything else stays the same. I wanted to be different. I didn't want to buy like a pen which everyone else is buying, so I decided to go with this exact model, and I have not regretted. And whenever someone sees this pen, they actually complimented that it's actually looking very nice, because the reflections on it, just something very special about the pen. How does it write? So actually this pen I have gotten back 4 or 3 days ago because it was not writing properly. And you're thinking, you're spending so much money on a fountain pen and it's not writing properly. Yes, this can happen sometimes, but I gave it to the Montblanc boutique and they fixed it like during Corona season and sent it back to me, and no problems. Like, I didn't have to do any calls, they just took it, accepted it, I showed them the guarantee card, and yeah, now it's writing perfectly like heaven. But I have to say, compared to my Pelikan 400, which is, I don't think it's as expensive as a Montblanc 146, because this runs you 820 euros. This one I think is cheaper. Between those two, the Pelikan is writing way better. But this could be because the Montblanc hasn't written that much yet, and obviously this is inherited from a great grandfather, so it has been writing way more than the Montblanc. So I'm thinking that I have to write more with the Montblanc in order to give like a very correct statement. But whenever I write with the Pelikan, it is superb. It is so soft, it's so smooth. The Montblanc is also very smooth, but something about this little pen is amazing. And if you compare these two, which one do I prefer to write, is actually the Pelikan. So price does not always matter with fountain pens, it is actually preference. So design wise I obviously prefer the Montblanc, but history wise, for my history and writing wise, the Pelikan is way better. You really have to try these pens out in order to find out which one you prefer. And for the Pelikan as well, this Pelikan is so small. You can really take this with you everywhere, and this is what I'm doing. This is like my travel fountain pen, and this is like, unless I know I have to give a special signature, I wouldn't take this with me. So, but this one goes with me mostly everywhere I go. So another thing about fountain pens I should mention is that many people love to show them off. And there's two ways to showing them off, and I'm going to show them you very quickly. So this is a jacket, a two-piece suit, but I just brought the jacket for now because I want to show you something, and it just has to do with the jacket. So many people like to show off their fountain pen, and they do that by taking the pen and putting it where the pocket square belongs. So with the Montblanc, it's a little bit too long, so it doesn't go really straight. But obviously you can see the Montblanc sign, and it's sort of like a status symbol. Another thing people like to do is, many jackets and suit jackets, they actually have a special little pocket for pens. So whenever they want to give a signature, they can actually open their suit and actually show also off. This is how many people like to show off their fountain pens. They also would put it like in shirt pockets, so everything which is on the chest which actually can show off the fountain pen. I don't really do this because these days I'm not wearing any suits because I don't have to because of Corona, but I will eventually do that if I think it would look nice. But I'm not too sure because it's sort of like also showing off, and showing off is also, in my opinion, a little bit vulgar. Obviously everything about these fountain pens is very high quality. So for example, like the mechanism, how you open it and all that is very nice, and it is very an experience when you're using these fountain pens, and this is what many people go for. It is not only that it is also a status symbol. Obviously when you have an expensive fountain pen and people know that you basically someone important, it's like driving a Ferrari, right? you obviously don't only buy it for yourself, you also buy it for other people to see. And this is the same thing with the fountain pen. There are people who are just using the pens because they like it, but I'm telling you, more expensive pens don't write better. So it is sort of at least somewhere in their mind that they can show it off, or they just want to have like a collection, and it's because they like collecting things that they have these expensive pens. So I hope I could give you like a little experience and insight on why people spend so much money on fountain pens. You obviously can spend way less money. I've been writing with fountain pens my entire life, so for me that I one day will buy a more expensive one was sort of eventual. In Germany, actually everyone who's going into elementary school will learn writing with a fountain pen. So for some people, I think in America it is usually not that common to write with fountain pens, but it is a very nice experience. But at the same time it is very unnecessary, because honestly rollerblades and everything like that are way more practical. But it is an experience to write with a fountain pen, and it's something which I want to keep doing, and sort of like a tradition. So yeah, for everyone their own, I guess. So I hope you like this video. I want to give a quick shout out to Kevin. He's apparently my #1 subscriber, so he's my #1 fan. And I'm very thankful for him to like watch all my videos, and it's very nice to like stay to communicate with you guys. So if you someone who wants to get in touch, just write me a message on Instagram somewhere and let me know. So I wish you all well-being, and I'll see you. Bye.
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 See ya.
See ya.
See you guys later.